Hello and welcome to Dedicated Devoted. I'm your host, Jared Columbell.
And I'm your co-host, Cora Columbell.
Today's episode is titled Breaking News. Kamala Harris has broken the glass ceiling.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you all about glass ceilings today. But before we unpack today's episode, just a reminder of how you can support the podcast. If you haven't already, please check out DedicatedDevoted.com, all one word, to learn more about the podcast, some awesome ways you can support us, and how to live a dedicated, devoted life. Now on to the show. Okay, Cora, so I started off by claiming that there's breaking news. Are you excited about some breaking news?
Always.
Always, okay. So if you're living under a rock, you probably don't know what has happened today, but there is breaking news. Do you know what that breaking news is?
No.
Just take a guess.
I have no idea.
You're looking down at your computer, so you have some idea.
Okay. Is it the nominee for vice president?
The nominee for vice
candidate?
president. Yes. Today is the day when the regime tells us who they have who is elected into the position for potential vice president. So we have a little bit of an anomaly here, okay?
Okay.
Here's the anomaly. We have a pick for Harris's vice president. So then that means Harris, the vice president, has picked her potential vice president. And I think that per logic, they cancel each other out.
Okay. Why is that?
Because you can't have two vice presidents. It's just too many.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's something like that. Just so you know, for all our listeners out there, I got a question for my wife. This will clarify some things. Cora, do you follow politics very much?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I dabble in politics.
I know.
I like to watch what's happening in our chaotic world. As of late, we've all been waiting to see who Harris is going to pick. And we started the podcast off with breaking news. Kamala Harris breaks the glass ceiling. Do you know what the glass ceiling is?
Not exactly.
Okay. I'm going to give you a little educational moment here. And also for our listeners, the glass ceiling is like a proverbial glass ceiling. It doesn't really exist, but many people look through it and they can see all the white men in the patriarchy, and they're at the top making all the money. And all of those who can't get up in and through that glass ceiling are typically some specific individuals. We're going to talk about intersectionality in a minute.
Okay.
And all they want to do is they look through it and they go, I want to get up there. I want to go through the glass ceiling. And so typically with those kind of promotions from regular floor through the glass ceiling on up, it requires some stuff. You could probably say it requires having the requirements fulfilled. I don't know. But the reason why I started off with Kamala Harris is breaking the glass ceiling is, you know how you get rid of the patriarchy in the U.S.?
No.
You want to take a guess? Do you know what the patriarchy is?
No.
It's a archaic, old design where affluent, rich, powerful, and specifically now, old white men have powers of position and authority.
So you're asking me, how do we get rid of that?
Yeah.
I would think by not bringing in white men. Right?
You would think.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
But, this takes me back to a moment.
Okay.
When 81 million people loved our current president. 81 million people were dying to vote for him. Because you know how you dismantle the patriarchy, right?
No.
You vote for an old, white, rich, affluent man.
Nice.
That's how you break the hierarchy, the patriarchy. So Kamala Harris, a Indian black woman, has come up with a superb plan to dismantle the patriarchy by, what do you think?
I don't know. I was just thinking, I didn't think Kamala Harris had black in her. I just heard today it was like Indonesian or something like that. Am I wrong on that?
You know what? This is the way that...
Does anyone even really know? I've heard of Indian. I know that. But
yeah.
I've heard of... Today I just heard of Indonesian, and like, I don't know about black.
I think it's time to pull a card from...
I'm sorry. Maybe it's not that. Not Indonesian.
No, it's Indonesian.
Oh, is it? Okay. Because I was like, maybe it's Filipino. Or something like that. I was like, that's interesting. I've never heard that.
Listen, both of us could be wrong.
All right. Yeah.
I think it's time that we ask to see the birth certificate. We're going to pull an old Trump card and go, show us that birth certificate, right?
Yeah.
Neither of us know what she is, but this is how identity politics work. You can identify with whatever works for you right now.
Okay.
If you need to get a job and you think that it's going to be more advantageous to be a 38-year-old black woman, identify as it.
Of course.
Listen, if you're terrible at swimming and you know that you're mediocre when compared to your peers and you're a born male, just switch over to the other team. You'll win. Identity politics, okay? This is the problem with allowing folks to live in a world that is not real. This is the problem of intersectionality. Okay, so my question for you is this. Do you know what intersectionality is?
Not exactly.
No, okay. For our audience, I am by no means an expert on critical race theory, identity politics, critical race theory, but I've dabbled quite a bit in this. And specifically, I dabbled quite a bit in this because I have, with many others, filed a federal lawsuit against my former employer, because of how they went about injecting these sort of ideologies into the workplace. So here's intersectionality in sort of a nutshell. Are you ready for it?
Yep.
Okay, intersectionality is sort of a system of victimhood. The more victim categories that you have, the bigger the bonus pool of your points are. So you stack them together, and at the very end, the more victim bonus points you have, you become a winner. Okay. And so think of it this way. If you're oppressed, victim, the victim category is for the quote unquote oppressed folks. All right.
Okay.
And you can't be white, by the way. To play this game, the instructions say these are the rules of the game, and just go ahead and shut the board game right now. If you're white, you don't get to play it. Okay.
Okay.
This is intersectionality in a nutshell. If you're a woman, you're oppressed. You get some bonus points. Go ahead, clap for yourself. You get some bonus points.
Yay.
Yay. For you, we're going to add a couple more bonus points. You want to know why?
Because I qualify for them.
You qualify for them, yeah. Well, guess how else you qualify for them?
Skin color.
Skin color. Ding, 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 ding. You're brown. Like cocoa buttery brown, okay?
Sure.
So you get more bonus points.
Okay.
All right? So you have more oppression, more victimhood.
Okay.
All right? Now, there's other categories that you don't actually meet, but let's say that you're an oppressed woman who's Hispanic that might identify as a lesbian. Mm-hmm. You get more bonus points. Now, hopefully at this point, you're pausing and going, this is insanity. Mm-hmm. Because it is insanity. But I participated in I actually did this, okay? So as a Christian, I participated to give a perspective of a Christian in a talk on intersectionality at my last job. This literally happened. I was told I can't say things, yet they brought in speakers to talk on such things with intersectionality. So here we now are at the precipice of massive change because Kamala Harris has broken the glass ceiling by nominating as her VP pick a old white man. By the way, for all of my old white men listeners, we love you guys a lot. Cora, how much do we love them?
A lot.
A lot. There you go. Skin color really doesn't matter. But in this game, skin color matters to them. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and share with our audience what I actually thought was gonna happen. And I'm gonna ask you what you thought was gonna happen.
Okay.
So we knew that Kamala Harris received the Democratic nomination.
Okay.
And it happened because we had a very spirited president who just bowed out.
Yeah.
And so this is an election integrity at its best. So we knew that she was going to be looking for a vice president pick, and we're all curious on who she was going to vote for, or not vote for, but who she was going to nominate,
okay. Yeah.
however you want to call that. Those are all really great terms. And here were my theories. Do you remember them? I shared them with you. I think I had 3 theories.
I don't remember.
Okay, before I share my 3 theories, did you have any idea who Kamala Harris was going to select as her VP pick, her vice president pick?
Absolutely not.
You didn't even want to take a stab at it, right?
No, I don't know anybody she could have picked.
Okay, so
I thought maybe she'd pick a female.
A female. Mm-hmm. I agree on that.
Yeah, that's all I could think of, but I didn't have a certain female in mind. Just thought she's probably going to pick a female because they'd have, some good power with that.
Politics work in a very specific way. Typically, they're going after some sort of strategic play, and they'll pick an area that they think could be a swing state, and it'll help them. They'll select a candidate that might have the opposite characteristics that they have, i.e., if you're a Black Indonesian female, you might select an old white man. Classic gameplay, checkmate, baby. That's the way that works, okay? Now, I had a couple theories, and I don't know if you remember what my theories were. Okay? One of my theories was Kamala Harris was going to do something that nobody ever thought that she was going to do. She was going to replace, or I shouldn't say replace, because obviously she was selected and Joe's just a little tired. So she was going to take on this contender role as the VP going for the presidency. One of my thoughts was, and this was kind of a wild one, I shared it with people, and I think a lot of folks thought I was insane. One of my wild thoughts was, her selection was going to be Jill Biden. Jill, not Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Jill Biden.
Yeah, I do remember that now.
And I was like, ooh, what a twist.
Yeah.
Right? Jill goes to Joe and goes, Joe, baby, you got to step down, but I'll take it on. I'll take that role on. And then boom, all of a sudden we have a double female ticket for the presidency.
Yeah.
That was one of them, okay? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay. That was one of my potential thoughts. I had another one, and I want to make sure that I say this correctly because the thoughts are a little bit fuzzy, but I thought a female ticket. The second one was this. The second one was that what would happen is perhaps we would see this great announcement.
Okay.
And Kamala would tell everyone that her VP pick was Joe Biden. Just a classic switcheroo.
That makes no sense.
I know.
That makes no sense. He's like, I think people already lost their faith in him, so I'm pretty sure he's out no matter what.
I would agree. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to our democracy, we have these weird things occur. So that was one of my wild guesses. These are obviously not like solid guesses, so just follow along with me. And then do you remember my third idea?
Don't say Michelle.
That was one that I had kicked around, and some folks had kicked around, but that wasn't it. It was even more. It was even more insidious.
No, I don't remember.
Okay, you're gonna remember this, and you're gonna go, honey, you're kind of not all there. So I called it the Freaky Friday effect, and I said, what if? And for those listeners that are listening right now, you might remember the movie Freaky Friday. Do you remember the movie Freaky Friday, Cora? Mm-hmm. What happens in Freaky Friday?
She becomes herself from like a long time ago, or somehow like.
No, that's 13 going on 30.
No, what?
that's close, but that's 13
I thought
going on 30.
She like saw herself in the future or something like that.
No, that's not Freaky Friday. There's multiple editions of Freaky Friday, and that is not even close to it.
I know it's like Jamie Lee Curtis, right? And like Lindsay Lohan?
Yes.
Okay. I know who they are, but I don't know.
That's one of the versions. You have the actors correct. The actress is correct.
I know that, but then what's the version?
It doesn't matter what version it is. No. The concept's still the same with Freaky Friday.
What is it?
They exchange bodies.
Oh. Okay.
Lightning strikes. All of a sudden, one goes into the other goes into the other. Okay. And so the young person is old and the old person is young.
See,
and
I was close.
You were very close. And
I was very close.
You know what? You get 25 bonus points for that.
Yeah,
okay?
right. Okay.
Redeemable within the next year for superb prizes. Okay, 25 bonus points. do me a favor, start writing them down. And as we go through this conversation, I want to make sure at the very end we tally how many bonus points we have, and we'll see what they're redeemable for.
Okay, don't lose your point.
Okay.
Go for it.
I won't. Oh, I see what you're doing. Don't lose my point. Okay. So the Freaky Friday effect is where one person's mind goes into another, and then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, I'm a mom. I'm my mom. I'm really old. And then the old mom is like, oh, I'm a daughter. I'm really young. And so I thought, what if maybe like a lightning strike had occurred at the White House, and then Joe Biden went into Kamala's body and Kamala went into Joe's body. And then they thought, oh no, we got to work this out. How am I still going to be president if me as a old white man am trapped in the body of an Indonesian black woman? Well, you just swap spots. That was my third theory. And it's probably the most probable out of all of them.
That's really weird.
I know. So those are the three things that I had posited as potential arguments. Now, let's talk about the breaking news and the breaking of the glass ceiling, the proverbial glass ceiling. Obviously, this is just a little bit of levity because she selected an old white man. And so you and I are going to take a look, and you haven't seen this.
No.
And nor have I. We're just going to like thumb through this article from the New York Times, and it's authored by Simon J. Levine and Maggie Astor, okay? From the New York Times, we have an article titled 19 Facts About Tim Walz, Harris's pick for vice president, okay?
Nice.
Why don't we look through these facts? When you think of facts, what do you think of?
Truths.
Truths. I love that word. There are things that are concrete.
Yeah.
They're knowable. Folks agree on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 19 facts. I am so excited to learn about Tim Walz. And I mean, he could be our potential vice president in our new dictator democracy. I apologize. I keep switching up the words, and that's just a sleight of hand there. So let's take a look at 19 facts about Tim Walz. Is it Walz or Walz?
I've never even heard of this guy. This is my first time even seeing this, like, at all.
I love the fact that neither you or I are like political commentators, and we're looking at this from a Christian worldview. Yeah. Let's dive into it, okay? Fact number one. You want to start with this one, and then I'll go, and then we'll just go, we'll swap back and forth?
Okay. He is a very recent social media darling.
He's a very recent social media darling?
Yeah.
Okay. It says here that Walz has enjoyed a groundswell of support online from users commenting on his Midwestern dad vibes.
And this is number one fact
This
about
is
him?
number one.
That seems very irrelevant.
Well, you obviously don't understand Midwestern dad vibes and appealing ordinariness.
But what if it said grandpa vibes? Would we be voting for the same person?
We would. We call those G vibes.
Okay.
That's how Biden got 81 million votes.
Okay.
He had G vibes.
All right.
Right? That's not gangster vibes. That's grandpa vibes.
Yeah.
So he's a very recent social media darling. You have to jump in that. Well, social media
darling.
But
even like dad vibes, that's like, is that what we're missing? Like in the world is dads, like dad vibes? You know what I mean?
I don't know. America needs more dads, I suppose.
I guess. Maybe it makes people feel more like comforted to hear that.
Well, here's my thing. It depends on who his running mate is. Is she a black Indonesian woman? Maybe you need a little bit of dad vibes and they're trying to balance out the ticket, wouldn't you say?
Maybe.
But what about breaking the glass ceiling? Why didn't she just select a woman who had woman vibes? Grandma woman vibes.
I have no idea.
Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're breaking the glass ceiling as we have this conversation because we're realizing how hypocritical our leaders are. Wouldn't you say?
Probably.
Okay. So I'm going to say that she could have selected another social media darling, but I love the fact that it's saying he's a very recent one. Okay, that's number one, and I agree with you. Why start off with something that is so irrelevant?
Because I think by saying he's like a recent social media darling, it's like maybe trying to bring people to who he is because nobody knows about him. So if we say social media anything, right? Like your social media star, your social media, I mean, whatever they want to call you, that kind of seems like a popularity thing versus like social media. I don't know why they'd bring that up unless they're trying to make him more relevant.
I love that point. It's like putting Biden on TikTok.
Yeah, because then maybe
and you see it and you go,
because it's
what is
relevant.
this?
So maybe I don't know, go watch him or say, I didn't realize he was a social media star or whatever.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say it's relevant but weird, which brings us into our second fact. Okay. He started the whole weird thing. That's in quotations. Weird thing. And you haven't watched the news, but this is actually a thing. It is.
Okay.
We are in a day and age where our intelligence levels are quite low. He started the whole weird thing. It was Walz who labeled former President Donald Trump and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, weird on cable television just a couple of weeks ago. The description soon became a Democratic talking point. You know this is a thing, right?
No.
So this social media darling, it's kind of cool because he said what J.D. Vance and Trump are doing is just weird.
Okay.
That's it. That's all there is to it.
It's interesting.
They're trying to capitalize on them being weird. Now, what I'm going to say is I can't recall the philosophical arguments. I think it's ad hominem attack, where you attack the person rather than the subject. And I look at this and I go, this is just stupid and pointless.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's actually a talking point. And this was one of the things that a lot of folks were saying, this guy might be really good because he's kind of pulling down the character of Trump and J.D. Vance. So yeah, he started the whole weird thing. Why don't you take number 3? He
named a highway after Prince and signed the bill in purple ink. Is this credit?
I think, okay. Can I just share something?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look at his name again because I'm not super familiar with it.
Okay.
But I'm going to say Tim Walz or Waltz. No, there's no T in it.
No.
Tim Walz is the guy formerly known as the potential vice president.
Okay.
You get the reference there, right?
Yeah.
It's a Prince reference.
Yeah.
He's not. I think he's going away.
Interesting.
Okay. I hope that blew your mind. He named a highway after Prince. This is from the New York Times. This is a reputable outlet, a reputable journalistic outlet. And their number 3 fact that we need to know about our potential vice president is he named a highway after Prince and signed the bill in purple ink.
Oh my gosh. Was that Prince's favorite color or something?
Purple rain, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it's
That's what I'm saying. It's like a play on words or something like that.
I think it's a play on words and colors, but I'm very
really
confused.
weird.
Okay. So we know he has an awesome Southern accent, or what was it? It wasn't Southern accent. It was Midwestern dad vibes.
Yeah.
So he has Midwestern dad vibes. He's a very recent social media darling, and he started the whole weird thing.
All right.
Oh wait, no. That's both of them wrapped up. The third one was, and he named a highway after Prince and signed the bill in purple ink.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
I need you to do me a favor. The next one, can you do a Southern accent as you read it?
You were supposed to read it.
I'll read it, but the next one you do.
Oh.
Do a Southern accent because I know our listeners are probably fascinated with my Southern accent and they want to hear chorus. I'll read number 4 and then you read number 5. Fair?
Okay, sure.
Okay. Number 4. He reminds you of your high school history teacher for a reason. How is this? Okay, hold on. How is this like not creepy? He reminds you of your high school teacher for a reason.
I was homeschooled, so I don't have those memories, I guess, like some kids do, but I don't know what that would even feel like.
Well, what I can tell you is it says here that he taught high school social studies.
Yeah, but do people love those kind of teachers? Like,
no.
Like, I know people who are like, they enjoy teachers, but I have never really heard anyone that said they like really enjoyed a history teacher or anything like that.
Well, that's because he didn't have Midwestern dad vibes.
Yes, not.
Y'all better learn your not geometry. Y'all better learn your geography. There we go.
Yeah,
there
okay.
we go.
Okay, I'm going to read the next one because this is weird. But he taught in China in 1989 and speaks some Mandarin.
Ooh,
did I say that right?
You did great.
Okay, yeah.
I got to tell you, like, that was a good step up to the plate specifically for talking about China in 1989. Right?
Oh, yeah.
He taught in China in 1989 and speaks some Mandarin. This actually is a super relevant fact to know about him from the New York Times. Because of our strong desire to adopt communism, he's the perfect fit.
I guess so.
Man, well, you know what? I think I'm starting to pull back on whether or not this guy is the person that we want for VP.
These are really weird facts, though.
No, these are facts. This is from the New York Times, okay?
Yeah, but it's not even saying like his favorite color or anything like that. Like
It's purple.
Oh, yeah.
And his favorite road is Prince.
Yeah.
Or highway is Prince.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one. He's a decorated veteran.
Okay,
now,
that one is one.
Legit.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
totally. Yeah. I
Totally accept that.
Yeah, I want to know that.
All of our listeners who are listening and you served our country, we want to thank you for your service. That's Cora and I clapping because we are big supporters of military families.
Oh, for sure.
I worked on the nuclear deterrent side of things for quite some time, trying to ensure that America was well protected and its sovereignty was intact. And I tell you, I have the utmost respect for all of those out there that are putting their lives on the line, from our local police department, firefighters, all the way into our armed services. Thank you for that. So he is a decorated veteran. 100% agree should be on this list.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately,
That should have been like number one.
number one. There you go.
Yeah.
You and I were going to say the same
Yeah,
thing. Why
yeah.
is it not number one? You know what's number one? He is a very recent social media darling.
Oh my
I can't imagine where we are in our day and age where we put these things on a page and we decide it's going to be the first thing that we tackle. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 7. Go for it.
He was a rare breed in Congress, a Democrat from the rural Midwest.
Well, what makes him a rare breed is that in some places, specifically in rural areas, a lot of folks lean a lot more to the conservative side because, and this is just for a conversation point for you and I, conservatives tend to be more capitalistic.
Okay.
Jobs are good. You want to earn money and you want to work hard. That's a good thing. I'm a capitalist at heart. There's a lot of types of systems out there, but I think from an economic standpoint, capitalists benefit the most. Capitalist societies benefit the most per GDP in that nation. And so America is super well off because capitalism, which it has its flaws, is a good thing. But rural communities tend to be what? What do you think of when you think of rural communities?
I think more like self-sufficient, probably. Like
Self-sufficient?
Yeah, like probably more to yourself too, because there's not a lot of people around you. Maybe more friendly.
Friendly, I agree on that. Farmer, I think farmers.
Oh yeah. Well, workers
Farming
for sure.
communities.
Kids start to work early, like just hardworking, maybe.
Yep. These are a lot of things that I agree with. It says here that he's a rare breed, a Democrat from the rural Midwest, which really means these are areas that lean probably more conservative, probably more right, probably more Republican. And so, yeah, I mean, that seems interesting. So,
Well, and the next one says he's a Nebraskan by birth.
yes,
Okay.
Nebraskan. So I think this is a special type of fish.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wait, no. I'm thinking of something else. He's from the state of Nebraska.
Oh,
now I
okay.
get it. Okay.
By birth, though.
By birth. That was a joke.
That's really weird. That
So-
they say that by birth.
By birth.
What does that mean?
It means the Democrats have this open border policy.
Okay.
And so they want to make sure that they're really articulating that this guy is here because he belongs here.
He didn't have a choice, though.
He didn't have a choice,
He didn't
right?
have a choice. He was birthed in Nebraska.
Oh, New York Times. You should be very careful with the verbiage you use. By birth, I agree. Number
Yeah, that's really
9.
weird.
He got involved in politics after being barred from a George W. Bush rally.
Interesting.
You know how hard it is to get kicked out of a George W. Bush rally? Are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we got to read this one, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
In 2004, when he was still a teacher, teaching politics,
Okay.
okay, or not politics, he's teaching geography, he accompanied students to the rally and objected when in his telling, they were denied entrance for having volunteered for Democrats. You know what? This guy seems super fitting to keep all of the January 6th prisoners in prison. He's our guy.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he went to this George W. Bush rally as a teacher. You know what I see in this, right?
No.
I see a blatant disrespect for authority.
Okay.
you typically will see a lot of folks come out of the armed services with the utmost respect for authority. But I say, and I'm calling this out right now, that we have some people that they're not necessarily exercising their freedom of speech. What they're doing is they're degrading and trying to pull down our sources of authority. That's what I see in this one here. He got involved in politics after being barred from a George W. Bush rally. Fine, have at it. But at the same time, what was he doing to get kicked out of a George W. Bush rally? Okay.
The woman who trained him to run for office is now his lieutenant governor.
Oh. That's a little quid pro quo there, ain't it?
The woman who trained him
to run for office is now his lieutenant governor. Have you heard the term quid pro quo?
Yeah, I've heard that.
There's another saying for it. The old saying is, you scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
It tends to be something where you say, I'll do something for you, you do something for me. I don't know. This is just me kind of speaking out loud, right? Okay. But I'm going, what a weird fact for the Walz, for the New York Post to think this is something that they should share with us. If anything, it makes me think it's kind of creepy.
Is it the fact that he was trained?
Oh, and it's woman. You nailed it. You found it.
Yeah, but just, it's...
You found the thread.
Yeah.
We got an old white man who's trained by a woman.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You have a keen sensibility to find the facts, my lady.
I don't know. I'm just reading.
I know. Truth be told.
That's just really weird.
It's a weird thing to share.
Like he's a dog or something. Let's train this guy.
Train him. That's how you defeat the patriarchy. You train them.
Interesting.
Here's your critical race theory training. Mm-hmm. Please apologize for your privilege. And for doing that, we will reward you by ensuring that all of the votes on the ballots are flipped to you.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Right. What's the number 11 fact?
The number 11 fact. He was an early supporter of gay rights.
Versus late supporter or something?
Yeah, huh?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so...
Early is in how early, though? Like, when did he start to agree with that?
Well, let's read it here. It says, in the 1990s, he sponsored a gay/straight alliance and said it was important. By the way, those are contradictory. Mm-hmm. Gay/straight. It's one or the other. Philosophically, this doesn't even work. He sponsored a gay-straight alliance and has said it was important at that time for the sponsor to be the football coach who was the soldier and was straight and was married. What does that even mean?
Well, if you're saying gay straight, I think that means everybody. So he sponsored everybody, not just one group.
Yeah, where's the advocacy in this?
That's really weird because then he's okay with everyone.
Now, this is where, as part of the podcast, we speak truth.
Okay.
And I want to go back to the good design of God because it appears as if all humankind has lost its mind. And it looks like here in America, we think that gender is fluid, that male and female aren't supposed to be together. Love is love. And I got to say, when it comes to the support of gay rights, I am a staunch advocate for God's design. Mm-hmm. One man, one woman. It makes sense from a naturalistic perspective, from an evolutionary perspective, from a family model perspective. There's a lot of empirical evidence that demonstrates the family unit is the strongest unit that influences success in a young person's life. And I just got to say, I've never been a supporter of gay rights. We are called to love those who are not like us. And I think that that's important to know.
For sure.
Okay, next one.
I know you're saying next, but I was just reading that how it says that he sponsored gay, straight, alliance in 1990s. But like, when was this guy born? I'm not asking for the answer, but I'm just saying, like, how many years before he actually decided to do that? Like, were the 1990s like the time to do it, and it was unpopular in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 50s? Again, I don't know when he was born, but it's just interesting that it's like then, I guess. Yeah, those are keen observations, because if it were the 2010s, he wouldn't have sponsored a gay-straight alliance. He would have sponsored a what alliance? Oh, anything goes? Anything goes, gay, LGBTQ. Yeah, there'd be a lot more. It's just a weird thing, a gay-straight alliance. Okay, you can go to the next one. Okay, next one is he has shifted politically on other issues. Okay. What does that mean? It means that he's a double-minded man and he's unstable in all his ways. All right, can we just go to 13?
Sure. No, I am dead serious about that. He shifted politically on other issues.
Then I don't think there's anything else to talk about that.
You know who has done a lot of that of late?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
I know
the
that.
The Hyde Amendment, support for abortion.
Yeah, I've seen all that in the past. Because that's a bad thing about politics is there's evidence of all of what you've said in the past.
Yeah.
So if you said something in the 80s, the 90s, the whatever, and that could be either side, right? It's not saying that it's just the Democrats. Like that could be Republicans too who say stuff. And then later on, they kind of backtrack a little bit. But it's like, we already know what you think because you said it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Like, you're not fooling anybody. You just want to vote.
I think it's important for us to live on our convictions, specifically as Christians. It's important for us to live on our convictions. And I do think that over time we get more knowledge and we do shift on issues. But I have such a hard time with politicians who are double-minded, double-faced, and they're just hypocritical. Like, the world is tired of hypocritical politicians doing insane things. And so I don't know what value number 12 offers, but I would say New York Times, you probably should have left that one out.
Oh my gosh, it gets more interesting. I just read ahead a little bit.
Okay.
And, let's just continue.
Okay. Number 13?
Yeah. Is it you? No, me? Okay.
It's whoever wants it.
Okay. He is a gun owner and hunts pheasants and turkeys.
This is hard. He's not a big game hunter. He's a little game hunter. Okay, so he hunts pheasants and turkeys. Well,
what that's telling me is that I should be really confident knowing that he's okay with guns.
Yeah, he's not going to come take our guns.
He's not going to take our guns because, he kills turkeys and pheasants and he's okay with them.
I have never, and I'm just trying to think back in time.
Yeah.
I have never, ever, ever been concerned that a Democrat wasn't honestly just wanting to buy my gun back and not disarm me.
Yeah.
Ever. They've always had the best of intentions. The Second Amendment with the Democratic Party has always just been such a sweet relationship. But don't worry, he's a gun owner and he hunts pheasants and turkeys. Now the question is, does he actually pick any of them off?
I don't know.
He's probably a bad shot.
Probably.
This is probably like when Trump called Biden in the debate a bad golfer.
Yeah.
I'm not a bad golfer. You, sir, Mr. Walz, are a bad hunter and bad shot.
Yeah.
All right. So that was very important for us to know because, folks, the Democrats do not want to disarm you. And we have a potential VP who's a gun owner and he kills all kinds of pheasants and all kinds of turkeys. And more than anything, he's going to give you a turkey for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Woo! Turkeys for Thanksgiving. I'm glad that we knew that one. Go ahead. Number 14.
Yes, it's your turn.
Oh, got it. He would be the third vice president from Minnesota.
That's still a decent fact. It's not terrible.
That's fine.
Yeah, it could be way worse. Like that should be number 5 maybe.
We'll give that one to the New York Times. He would be the third vice president. This is still
not really like a fact though, because it's like a maybe.
Yeah, we still haven't seen the birth certificate. I'm just kidding.
It's just really interesting that it's like that is a fact because it's not a real thing yet because he's not a vice president at all.
Yeah.
I know it's like if he makes it, but he would be the third vice president. Like who really cares? You're not there yet.
Yep.
So it's not a fact yet.
Oh my gosh.
Once he gets it, then say third fact about him, or not third, but one fact about him. He's the third vice president from Minnesota, but there's not a fact yet.
Okay, we got some that are coming up here, and they are fiery.
Oh, that's what I just told you.
I'm about to get fired up.
I don't know. I looked ahead, and there's some interesting ones.
Do me a favor. We're going to go Southern, and we're going to say we're about to get fired up on 3. 1, 2, 3. We're about to get fired up. There you go. Number 15. He and his wife had 2 children through in vitro fertilization. I want to pause on this because there's going to be some Christians that are listening to our podcast who are going to say that this is an insensitive topic. So right now, there is a debate raging on whether or not these technologies to have to have children birthed into this world are good, helpful, not good, against God's design. There's all kinds of arguments right now. And I'm going to be bold and upfront. And this actually is a strong perspective I have. But Dr. Albert Mohler, he leads the Southern Seminary. He has spoken on this topic, written papers on it. I think he probably covers it maybe on a weekly basis. when it comes to in vitro fertilization, here is the biggest problem with it. We are taking away God's good and natural design, and we are thinking that we can become like God. Do you think that God is going to have favor on those who think that they can do his job? Or does it anger the Lord?
I don't know.
This is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
And you know and you don't have to agree with me on it.
Yeah, no, totally
I understand innovative technology and development, and I've worked in this arena for quite some time. And the problem that we have with this is we've taken natural processes and made them unnatural. Did you know that the embryos that they use for in vitro fertilization, we as Christians believe that conception happens at the moment of the seed meeting the egg. Mm-hmm. And the embryos, and I'm not an expert by any means on this, I'm just sharing what I know.
Yeah.
The embryos that they utilize for this process are stored away, and those embryos are potential life. And did you know that they destroy millions of those embryos every year? Do you think destroying millions of potential babies is something that God is pleased with?
Probably not.
That's the spirit of Moloch. And for those of you who've never heard that, do some research. There is a wicked spirit in our nation that wants to destroy the unborn. And it is so bloodthirsty, and it'll try to destroy as many kids as possible.
But I also think, though, with this subject, it's kind of a private thing.
It can be a private thing.
Not this subject. This fact about him.
Oh, okay.
Him and his
I understand.
wife had 2 children through in vitro. Like, I don't know why everyone needs to know that.
This is a contentious point right now because there are many church bodies that are putting out official recommendations on whether or not this is a practice that Christians should subscribe to. Okay. And what I just mentioned is the reason why they shouldn't. Millions of embryos being destroyed. Now, here's the thing. Somebody is going to posit this argument. Are you saying that a Christian who loves their God, loves their husband, and can't have a child shouldn't go through artificial insemination and in vitro fertilization? And what they're doing is they're taking a heartfelt issue, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to manipulate what the Word of God says. We got to be very careful with this one because there is much data that demonstrates this is not a healthy thing. That's number 15.
Okay. Number 16, he coached the 1999 football state champions. It's a decent fact, but
sure,
it doesn't change my mind if I was going to vote for him. Like, it doesn't make me like excited to know that he's good with children or whatever.
But does it make you feel like he's a man's man?
I think
football.
I think I already thought that with a gun.
Yeah.
Not really football, you know.
This is one that you look at it and you go, all-American.
Yeah, maybe.
This guy can play football with me. Mm-hmm. Not only can he be the VP to Harris and also help with development of foreign policy and fight off all of our adversaries, but man, he can throw a football. Oh. That guy in pigskin.
Yeah.
Best friends. Very useless fact to me. Number 17.
He is a Lutheran.
He's a Lutheran. Yay. You know why they're doing this one, right?
No, because I thought Lutherans kind of were similar to Catholics. Again, maybe I don't know much, but I thought they don't agree with abortion either.
Well, I'm gonna do a quick Dr. Google search, okay?
Okay.
Because here's where the hypocrisy comes into place.
Okay.
So let me pull up his name. Now, what I'll say is, there's a variety of denominations. I wouldn't say that the Lutheran denomination is any worse than, say, any sort of Protestant denomination or non-denomination or Baptist. Yeah. Like, it's a pretty simple thing. When it comes to stuff like the non-negotiables, the virgin birth of Christ, salvation through Christ alone. Like, there's some good things in each religion. And I think God reveals himself in his sovereignty to different people in different denominations. So to me, there's nothing here that stands out. And I go, oh, wow, that's kind of crazy. I'm just poking into another article, okay? So give me 1 second here. Oh, this is another one. They have all kinds of stuff. Climate policy. gun control, education, immigration. Okay. Here we go. So we talked about him being a Lutheran, okay? And I knew this as general knowledge, but I'm poking into a different, this is a different article from the Washington Post.
Okay.
So probably not the best place to get our news, but we're going to do it. They even have a little tagline right underneath it, the Washington Post, and it says, "Democracy dies in darkness."
Oh, God.
Somebody like me is employed there, and they're so good at rhyming stuff.
Okay.
Or not just rhyming stuff, but creating acronyms.
Oh.
Just a real quick note for our listeners. I had posted a recent episode, and my lovely honey was not present in that one. And I think I'm going to start calling them rant episodes. Okay. Reject and, I had such a good acronym for it. Let me see if I can remember. It was reject and something truth. Reject and no truth. No, that would be a K. Oh, I was so close. I'm gonna come up with this acronym, and I'm gonna put it on the episodes where you're not able to participate in them. But I came up with a really good one. But the Washington Post has a really dark one. The Washington Post: democracy dies in darkness. Okay, here is some information on Walz with abortion and gender affirming care. When we say gender affirming care, we need to talk about gender affirming butchery. Okay. After the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in June 2022, Walz signed a bill protecting abortion as a state law in January 2023, making the state a hub for the procedure in the Midwest. In March, Harris visited a Planned Parenthood health center that provides abortions. In April 2023, Walz signed the Trans Refuge Bill that shields people seeking and providing gender-affirming care in Minnesota. That same day, he also approved a bill banning conversion therapy. Conversion therapy is about trying to get people mentally right.
Okay.
And not just chopping off their bits and parts, okay?
Okay.
And so here's a quote from him. "We're putting up a firewall to ensure Minnesotans have the freedom to make their own health care decisions." That's the spirit of Moloch.
Okay.
So we go back to the 19 facts and we talk about how he's a Lutheran. And I would say, sir, you are a poor Lutheran and you are a poor testament to Christ. And you are not an advocate for the unborn, and shame on you. And this is where the hypocrisy of the world gets exposed. Do you think Christians should be advocating for abortion and, just to make a point, showing up at an abortion clinic demonstrating their support?
I think I have mixed feelings on that, if people should be showing up to facilities in support of it.
Now, when we say support, did you know that Harris was the first vice president or person in political office that had actually went to an abortion clinic?
No, didn't know that.
She's trying to make a point. And what I don't want to do is I don't want our listeners to think that you're standing on the side of abortion. You're just pondering the thought of whether a person should go to one.
Well, yeah, like, no, I personally, like, this is my truth. I would only really go to one if I had the intention of adopting someone's kid to say, hey, listen, I will do this for you. Like, you can have the baby and then I'll keep it. You know, I know that sounds weird, but me personally, if I was going to go and be at any abortion clinic, that's what I would do if I felt compelled to adopt a baby. I would not probably go for any other reason, but I'm actually like ready and willing to say, you know what, if you don't feel like you're ready to be a parent, I'm here, and then I could adopt your baby. That's me personally. Besides that, I wouldn't show up to one.
And there's people who are called to go and protest out in front of the facilities.
And that's not me.
And I totally understand that. But we're talking about quite the opposite, where we have political figures who have no business dealing with these sort of things, but they've become so enamored with the culture of death because they know it'll get them the votes.
Yeah.
Like you literally can just say, I'm for abortion all the way up to the point of conception, and that'll get you votes.
Yeah.
That's really what happened with Biden. Is his stance changed so drastically that he really had to have made a pact with the devil in order to get into the presidency. And I still do not deem that to be a legitimate entry.
Yeah.
Now, that's my personal perspective. I'm just saying, this is me speaking out loud. But if you are going to live out a life based on convictions, on inalienable truths, you need to ensure that you live those convictions. And I like the fact that they say he's a Lutheran, and then you actually see that he advocates for quite a bunch of other things, including drug use. So what a weird one. Number 18.
So this is the one that I looked at because I thought it was really interesting. But it says he doesn't drink after a DWI in 1995.
Wow. Go ahead and read that whole thing.
No, you.
Walz has said he stopped drinking alcohol after he was pulled over for speeding in 1995 and failed a sobriety test. His wife told him at the time,
"You can't make dumb choices."
You can't make dumb choices. One day you're going to be the vice president, and you need to be a good, strong Lutheran and stop boozing and cruising. Is that how it went? You know, the fact that they throw this out here, you know what this is? I discussed this the other day.
I think I know what it is. I think they don't want people to figure this out on their own. So they're going to try to kind of at least let you know a fact, which this probably should have been number one.
Probably.
Because then, we're reading this because it's for the podcast, but if that was number one for me, I would have read through all this by myself.
Well,
willingly.
I think they throw this out here because, people will discover it.
Yeah.
They also want to put this front and center to try to normalize it. And listen, lots of people make mistakes. This isn't about mistakes.
No. But even the fact that it says it talks about what his wife said, you have obligations to people. Like, do you really have to tell that to him?
Yeah, he's irresponsible.
It sounds like it, but why would they put that in here though? That just makes him sound more irresponsible to say, "Hey, listen, you have obligations to people. You can't make dumb choices."
Maybe they did it because they think that if they put this in there, they'll go, "Oh, women have a part in the patriarchy. They have to temper it. Honey, one day you're going to be an old white man at the top of the patriarchy. And people are going to need you to break that glass ceiling for them."
I don't know. It kind of reminds me of the current situation where Joe did a good job speaking and Jill had to be like, "You did.
You answered
good
every
job.
question.
Can everyone clap for Joe?"
Joey did it. Yay.
Yeah, that was really
Joey
weird.
did it. Yay. Yeah, that was a very odd thing, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, this is a weird one. I think people make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
But this to me is just trying to normalize that this guy actually has some problems. First off, he gets kicked out of a George W. Bush rally.
Well,
Then he goes on an old, what is it, Smokey and the Bandit run.
I don't know, but even this fact should have said he doesn't drink. And then in the description, after a DWI in 1995, but it's we're just going to throw it all out there right away because it's weird to say you don't drink because you got busted.
Well, it says
Versus
here,
you don't drink because you just choose not to or it's not good for you. But he's not doing it anymore because why? Because
I can
he has
tell you why.
obligations.
No, I can tell you why. It
Then
says
why?
he stopped drinking alcohol. But let's go back to the Washington Post.
Oh, gosh.
It says in May 2023, Walz signed a bill that legalized recreational marijuana for adults, taxing it at 10%, and pushed for the expungement or resentencing of cannabis-related convictions. He must like the wacky tobacco. That's all.
Maybe.
That's just a hypothesis. Okay. All right. This actually should have been the first one on the list because this is the most relevant out of this amazing New York Times article. And I think that this would give America really great insight into who our potential new vice president can be. And is it my turn or is it your turn?
It's totally your turn.
It's my turn. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 19, which should have been at the very front. Here we go. Can I get a drum roll?
I don't know, but this is already not going to be my vote. Well, go ahead.
He also does not drink coffee. He prefers Mountain Diet Dew.
Oh, gosh.
As does his Republican counterpart. So helpful. Okay, first off, I'm going to be straight up, okay?
Okay.
I don't trust people who don't drink coffee. Have you ever had that morning person who's like, "I'm going to take hot cocoa," and you're like, sociopath?
Usually it's tea.
Another sociopath. Or British person, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, "Listen, mate." No, that's Australian.
Yeah.
Sorry. You know my point.
Sure.
He does not drink coffee. Just one more reason to not trust Tim Walz. Do you think we pronounced it correctly throughout the entire podcast?
I think you're the only one pronouncing it.
Okay.
I think I've only had to say it once, so I think I'm okay.
How is it pronounced?
I'm not going to say it.
Okay. He does not drink coffee.
I think it's okay. I think it's Walz. Like the walls you're looking at, because it's Walz. Tim Walz.
You know what? I just had an epiphany. What if he becomes the VP and his name symbolizes what he should be doing at the border?
What is that?
He should be creating walls.
Oh, yeah. Could be. Yeah. He's not going to do that.
Epiphany. Okay. So today we have dived deep into 19 facts about Tim Walz, Harris's pick for vice president. And we have learned very important and interesting facts. Cora, do you feel more well-equipped to go out and vote?
No.
No.
I didn't know who this guy was before. And after reading about him, I just don't feel like all their 19 topics are relevant at all. Like there's maybe 3 that were relevant.
So on the thumbs-o-meter, is it thumbs up, thumbs like in the neutral territory midway, or is it thumbs down for Tim Walz?
It's going to have to be thumbs down.
Thumbs down. I am going to have to agree with you. We both go thumbs down. What a place we are in our nation right now. There is questions about election integrity. We don't know if our votes are even being counted legitimately. And then we have contenders such as this. Now, not to get on the political side of things and to ruffle feathers, but what I must say is God is still in control. We are in an election season. It's really obvious that we are in a fight for our nation and we are trying to fight for truth. Very, very important things. I am disturbed by the way that things are going in our nation. The fact that Harris has received the nomination as the Democratic pick, because there was no process involved in that, and more so that folks such as Tim Walz are actually selected. These are people that I look at and I go, it represents a lot of what we've had in the past, and it just hasn't been healthy. Any other thoughts you want to add, Cora?
Nope.
Well, I really appreciate you diving a little bit deeper into this topic with me. I think it was really important. And here's my really quick encouragement to all of our listeners. I said this on an episode the other day. As we get into election season, really pray on this topic. Pray that God would show you what you need to be doing. Pray that God would show you truth. Pray that God would give you evidences that you can evaluate for yourself. And remember, side with what the King has said. There's nothing better than basing your decisions on what is in the Bible and ensuring that you're aligning with God, aligning with his kingdom, and you're really ultimately fulfilling his will. We're in dark times, folks. We need as much light and salt that we can get out there in the world. Let this be an encouragement to all of our listeners that there's still an opportunity for us to go out and to live out our faith. Politicians can't actually change the world. What changes the world is the family. And the family is what moves the culture. And what moves the culture and politicians are the individuals in that family. And they must be rooted and grounded in truth. And that comes directly from God. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today. We aim to help others live a dedicated, devoted life. If you want to come alongside us in partnership, please check out DedicatedDevoted.com and make sure to subscribe. Join us next time for another episode of Dedicated Devoted. We post a new episode every week, and we hope you join us. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.